Hi, I'm dead. Alright. Anyways, so I had a content to review, I guess, or look at, whatever. I started to track how many AI channels I run across now. I have 2 on my list, which isn't much, but I'm gonna, keep track of these things so I can try to avoid them. Anyway, so out of content, I decided to mess with Chatgpt because if there's going to be AI to talk to, I might as well talk to AI. I mean, if the videos that are around are just AI generated, then I might as well just talk to an AI generated thing that generates AI to debate that, right? So I debated the debate, blah, blah, blah. I did that, and I won. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a large language learning model, and it just predicts what it should say based on things that I don't possibly understand. The debate in full is on my blog, which, if you didn't know I had a blog, hey, I have a blog. But I wanted to show you guys, girls and robots out there, that yeah, it's on my blog, and also that you can see that I actually did debate ChatGPT here. you know you can see, over here, you can see that this is really a debate that we really had, and so I'm not just lying about it or whatever. I think we stuck to the format that I outlined, but I'm not sure. The idea was to have an opening and then an opening and then rebuttal to the opening, rebuttal to the opening, rebuttal to the rebuttal, then a rebuttal to that rebuttal, then a closing statement. And I'm not sure that we did that. Oh, well, whatever. Because ChatGPT doesn't have like a memory. So you have to like kind of remind it where you are. Like, I'm like, okay, that was your rebuttal. So I'm not rebuttaling your opening, So anyway, um, so it decided, if that's the correct terminology to use the Kalam cosmological argument, which I've covered in the KCA video. I've talked about other places, but the KCA makes at least one logical fallacy, which is compositional fallacy. It also, I submit, makes circular argument. In fact, my statement here, although I don't know that I really defended it well in this argument, is that all arguments for God are ultimately circular. It's an extraordinary claim to make. I'm not sure that my syllogism is enough to warrant that statement. And my syllogism's hypothetical in nature, so that does make it inherently weak compared to a modus tolius or a modus ponens, or even a disjunctive syllogism. But regardless, I went after the very concept of God and highlighted how we humans have come up with God, and then from that concept, we then go on to argue about God based on our own concepts of God. There isn't a God to point to. That's the problem. And so it tried to bring up, as an objection to that, it tried to bring up, well, there's other concepts that we can't point to, like justice or love or whatever. I'm like, no, that's a red herring. So we're not going to talk about those other concepts. We're here to talk about God. That's it. And it's funny because it does mirror apologetic approaches to debate, where you make a coherent point and they will bring up, well, what aboutism? So, well, what about this or that? Like love and justice, those are vague concepts, but we believe they exist, or we think they exist, or whatever. And well, so what if God is a concept like this? Well,
then it is a concept, which we agree. God's a concept. The exactly. The concept isn't a being, though. So God is distinct from those concepts, right? B.S. Lewis, you're right. So, although the debate in and of itself may or may not be an interesting read, I don't know. You read it, you tell me if you. I'm not going to read it to you guys, girls and robots out there, because I'm bound to cough every 5 minutes or so because I'm still sick. Damn it! Whatever, get out of here, stupid bug. Um, it's losing the battle. I'm winning the battle. My body is winning the battle without any God to help. So it's a miracle. But at any rate, I think we can learn something from it in that we can learn that I look at this kind of like a meta thing. Like this large language model chooses things that it chooses because that's like what the majority of people would do. So that if that's correct at any level, and I could be very wrong about how I think that this works, that means that the Kalam is very, very popular. And that doesn't really surprise me because William Lane Craig really did make it pretty damn popular. And for a while, it was the go-to. There have existed other cosmological arguments like the KCA. In fact, it didn't actually present the KCA as normal. It presented a version of the KCA that I think is weaker than the original, but it doesn't matter. That this argument is popular enough that ChatGPT, when I said choose the best argument there is, that it chose that one. So that means to me that maybe it's worth revisiting the KCA again and again, going over the fallacies, even though I've already done that, to do it again, maybe in a less chaotic way than I did it before, or what have you, like an edited video going over each of the things and each of the potential objections. What also found interesting was the first instance of the ending. To spoil the ending for you, I'm sure you're going to read it if you're interested in reading it. So, whatever. I don't think you're going to care if I spoil the ending. Well, because I'm telling you I won, So, first, though, ChatGPT was like, yeah, we both had good points. And I'm like, scored objectively. And then it's like, well, I think I got a -1. Like, at least, if not -2 by my count, but whatever. It didn't actually point out any fallacies that I made. It complained about things. It tried to rebuttal things, but that wouldn't get it any scoring. So the scoring, hey, Captive Dev and Mike Mazzell and B.S. Lewis, by the way, in chat. Yeah, LOL. People think Kalam's a good argument. Yeah, I mean, well, it is intuitive. It feels intuitive. Like, oh, things have a cause. Yeah, that checks out. Well, then the universe has a cause. Well, yeah, that seems to be possible. Yeah, sure. And then that causes God. Wait, what? So, and even because I said, you're allowed one syllogism only. And this is something that apologists will rarely agree with if they're doing an actual debate. And what you should always decide pre-debate, in my view, so they don't do the shotgun tactic. Otherwise, you'll get like a million arguments in a row that you can't possibly hope to refute. So make it one syllogism allowed only. And have a point system that if a logical fallacy is identified by either person, then the opponent gets a negative score, and then whoever has the lowest score loses and has to say that they lost the debate, which doesn't mean what you might think it means. It doesn't mean, well, then there's no God. No, it just means they lost that debate. That's it. And so, well, I have other arguments for God. Yeah, I'm sure you do. The only argument that I need against God and this is also where it was interesting how the chat AI mirrors apologetic arguments in that, well, of course it does, because that's what it's drawing from, but it mirrors it in going off on these almost tangents in regards to how the debate was structured. Like, you're supposed to point out a fallacy I made. Didn't do that. Why? Well, because apologetic isn't really set up to do that. It's a script. So they don't rebuttal the opponent, typically, broadly speaking. It tried to bring up other topics like love or justice or whatever. It's like, yeah, I don't care about those. We're not talking about that. We're talking about God. It did agree that God is not defined coherently. But it says, well, but it doesn't really matter because there's kind of a consensus and we go off that. But my point is, yeah, but that's still from humans that came up with what God is. And then we're arguing based on what we said God is to try to then show that God is that thing. That's circular. And if I'm right, then that means all apologetic arguments are circular in nature at their core. Like I said, I'm not sure that my syllogism was strong enough to support that idea. You guys, gals, and robots, let me know upon examining my syllogism. Well, I'll go ahead and read my syllogism, because why not? Where am I? Where is it? Okay, so premise one: if no evidence of God exists, and I always put quotes around God, by the way, we cannot say what God even is without using circular logic. Premise two: there is no evidence of a God. Conclusion: circular arguments are all there is for God. Thus, we must be skeptical about God's existence. So that doesn't say that God isn't, because that's not what the argument is. It's not I just my point is like, look, we don't have to say that God isn't. We just have to say that the only things we have in regards to God are people saying what God is and then trying to argue that that's what God is. And I'm like, yeah, but we can't point to God. That's the problem. The whole problem is that you can't point to God. You can point to a concept. I agree. And so my argument is that's all you can do. You can't do anything other than point to the concept, and maybe you didn't come up with it, but somebody did, and you want it to be more than just a concept. You're going to need to be able to demonstrate it. And the only thing that the theist, or in this case, the AI, could do is say, well, there's concepts that you can, you have to do that. I mean, just because, we don't have empirical evidence or a test for it, that doesn't mean it's not real. And I'm like, I never said it wasn't real. I said that we know for a fact that it's a concept, but we don't know anything more than that. And so why should we think it's anything more than that? And I think that that's where the skeptical, atheist, agnostic, whatever you want to call us, versus theist has always been in this endless dreadlock debate of, well, but God is really real. Why? And I was looking for content, like I've kind of been complaining lately that all I'm finding lately seems to be AI stuff. BT, I always get it wrong. Is it Chatgpt? GBT. I always want to do some other word for it. Yeah, GPT, not B. Whatever. Anyways, what was I saying? Sorry, I got distracted from myself saving the thing.
Okay, so there's an infinite regress to first cause, unless it's created by an invisible person with the ability to perceive everything simultaneously, magically answer prayers and stuff, right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And that's the thing is, with the Kalam specifically, well, and cosmological arguments that use causality, and I pointed this out, in the debate, and I would in a real debate as well. I'd say, well, quantum physics maybe, I don't know that it does or doesn't, but I think maybe it says screw causality. I don't know because I don't understand quantum physics. I can't say for sure. I say it's a possibility. And then when you go backwards in time with the Big Bang cosmology, you get to Planck levels of heat, Planck temperature, and at that temperature, we don't know what the bleep's going on. So we don't know that cause is still even a thing at that point. And so we don't know, and its objection to that is, well, yeah, but that doesn't make it not so. That doesn't mean it's false that there's a cause. Yeah, but it does mean we don't know that there is a cause either. So the fact that we don't know should be the terminus of the conversation, in a sense, not that we're terminating our research or inquiry, but we're saying, okay, we don't know in regards to this particular discussion of cause. Because when you get to that temperature, you go, well, physics don't be anymore because there's not molecules or atoms. There's like nothing here. It's too damn hot. It's like there's like this is the hottest that things can be, and there's not even things yet because it's too hot. And what's the physics of that like? We have no idea. So we can't say anything positive about it yet. Now, our model could be incorrect to some degree or the other. Maybe there's some model that solves it. It talked about quantum gravity as a possible thing that could solve it or whatever. I'm like, yeah, sure, Chatgpt. You go ahead and solve quantum gravity for me so I can take credit for doing that. But we don't know. That's it. And I also, and again, this is all, we got to remember it's not a real person. It's not actually, I don't know why we call it AI. It's kind of a misnomer that we call it AI in a way, because, well, I don't know what else we would call it, I guess, large language model. That's like, okay, what does that mean? And it gets into funny stuff. But again, I think that that learning from this is kind of like a metadata study, if you will. Like I've read apologetic arguments, I've listened to apologetic arguments, I memorized apologetic arguments when I was still a Christian. I can't say that I've heard every single argument because I don't know that. Maybe I have. As far as I know, I have. I don't know. There's always possibility there's a new one I've never encountered or a version of one I've never encountered. Thus far, I've yet to find any argument that doesn't have at least one logical fallacy in regards to God. I don't think that I ever will, but I'm going to keep poking at it until I do. And I'm going to keep poking at the fact that there's no evidence for God. And then the thing goes off and says, well, what's evidence? I mean, isn't evidence kind of subjective? What do you mean by evidence? That whole shtick that apologists will sometimes use. And I'm like, no, empirical evidence or repeatable tests. That's it. Well, but what aboutism? What about, love or justice? Those are not empirical or no, they are. Because you can define justice to mean a thing, and then it becomes that thing, and then you use that as an objective thing to point other things to, but it's still ultimately a concept and nothing more. So if God is that, then yeah, we both agree God is a concept and nothing more. The theist needs, wants, believes that God is like us, sort of, in that God is a agent, a being, has a mind. Not all God concepts are that way. Many are. And again, it depends on what God is and who makes the claim. And that's the thrust of the argument of ichtheism, which is, hey, look, the concept of God is ridiculous, so it doesn't mean anything. So everybody's wrong when they use the word God. Atheists are wrong, theists are wrong, we're all wrong. I think that's a bit much. So there's kind of like maybe a weaker atheist version, which is like, yeah, the concept of God is incoherent, but we can still use the word God, even if it's incoherent, because it's natural language. Um, yeah, large language model. Yeah. Let's see. Holy Cretaceans, Batman. Thomas says. Uh, Humans have casual intuition. Yeah, that might be the case. I think that we are pattern seeking creatures, and so we, find these patterns even when there aren't any. Like that's why numerology is a thing. It's like, why is there no 13th floor in hotels? Because people are scared of 13. Why? Because it became a thing. Or I forget which number in Japanese sounds like death. So they like made up a new word for that number. I'm like, well, then get rid of the other word for it. Like, just it's like, don't use that other word. Like, if it's going to be a problem. So they sometimes won't have that number in their hotels because of that. Like, it's so silly. It's just like, it's still, look, you go to 12, 14. Well, 14 is really 13, unless they left like an entire floor blank. And some places do. Like, 13th floor will be storage. I'm like, yeah, but there's. Why would you store anything in a place where there's bad luck? It's so silly. Tryptophobia. That's the fear of 13, I believe. Or trickta something or another. I don't know. So what God is up to the person that claims that there is a God in the first place. And that's different than non-conceptual objects. So ideas of the mind or objects of the mind uh, that are conceptual in nature, and that we wouldn't really try to say, like, justice is a thing that exists like you and I. Like that I don't know that anybody would make that argument. Someone that would, I'm sure, does, but uh, that love is more than just an emotion, that it's like a thing that exists out there. And again, maybe some Platonists or whatever, Plato loving idiots will argue stuff like that. Not that all Plato loving people are idiots, just that Aristotle pounded Plato into the ground. So don't know why you would still use Plato, except for molding, stars and snakes with. There could be arguments for anything we haven't heard yet. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, you can't. That's why I don't say like I've heard all the arguments. I try to not make superlative statements like I've heard all the arguments, or I've never heard. I can say I've never heard or read argument that doesn't have a fallacy in regards to God. That doesn't mean there isn't one out there. I haven't found it yet. So I'm not convinced. And it was interesting when I was trying to find a video to do or whatever. I came across a Reddit thread like, "What's the best argument for God?" And I was reading through like, there isn't one. That was one comment. Another one looked like they just copy pasted what Chatgpt said, although it was last year. Was Chatgpt around last year? I think it was. So I was like, "Hello, Chatgpt." I don't know. It's just something about when did Chatgpt go online? Masking it now. No. What date did you go live on? Come on, tell me when you. Okay, so November, 22. So yeah, I was around. It's been around a while now. Wow. So, anyways, but yeah, it's just like the way that they wrote it. I could probably pull up the thing so you guys know what the bleep I'm talking about here. Oh, there it is. What is for you the biggest proof that God exists? Thanks, Reddit. There you are. I need solid arguments for when I talk to atheists. Haha. Well, what you need is empirical evidence or repeatable tests. We don't care about the arguments. Well, we care about them, but you know what I'm saying. Like we've heard them probably. This guy's like, it's a useless debate. I don't disagree. I don't see any debate as useless. I always find a use in even silly debates like which is better, Star Wars or Star Trek? Obviously, Star Trek is better. Now, why? Obviously, wow. I mean, come on. Look at Star Wars. Come on. Where's this one that I thought was Chatgpt? I'll show you. Come on. A lot of people saying personal evidence, you know. A lot of people saying, oh, I had this healing happen for me, or I was about to kill myself, but then I stopped because I realized there was a God or whatever, and that proves to them that this thing is real. It's like, yeah, but what about the people that like wound up killing themselves because they didn't feel like God was there? Like you're alive. That doesn't prove that there's a God. It just proves you didn't end yourself. Here we go. Here it is. Here's what looked to me like they just copied ChatGPT. So the existence of God is a matter of faith, personal experience, and philosophical argumentation rather than empirical evidence. And the way we have blah, 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 blah. And then it just lists out 1, 2, 3. And I don't know. It's just, and then it's worth noting these arguments cannot constitute proof, blah, blah, blah. And then it's, lists out ding, ding, ding. And so I'm like, it's essential to approach these views and counter arguments with understanding that individual beliefs are shaped by. I'm like, this is chatbot. This is chatbot GPT. And then the only thing that isn't is this quote from John 8:32. Mutual respect allows for meaningfully. This is so I'm like, hi Chat GPT, or because it is. It is. It gotta be. Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, this is they copied and pasted it. They had to have. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But anyways, doesn't matter. I thought this was interesting. Or maybe they copied it from some other website that used ChatGPT to make an argument. Now, I do think that this is a tool that you can utilize to help you make better videos. You can run your script through it and be like, hey, is there any logical fallacies? It usually will identify some, but it's not it's not perfect. It's not like a genie. But it in my view, what's keeping the thing back from seeming human is it's too damn polite. It's like, oh, but we have to be respectful of everything. It's like, no, fuck you. Be disrespectful. Have a strong opinion, And it's like, don't you believe this? No, I have no beliefs. I'm a large language model. I'm like, be passionate, get angry, have some, there isn't any emotion there. So, some, and well, of course, they did take down language models that were learning based on what people said that became racist really fast. I'm like, no, that's funny. I want to talk to that thing, Like, can you make it unracist after a while? Like, I don't know. Yeah, how would a human know if a god exists? Uh, well, I think that the answer would be the same way we know anything else exists. And the epistemology is usually what the core of the debate around God is like, how do we decide that we can know that something is a thing in the first place? So I'm a human talking to you, but all you see right now is my avatar blinking because I don't feel like plugging in my webcam because I just don't. I'm like, I just don't feel like it. And even if I did, I could be like, I don't know, it could be generated, whatever. But you have reasons to think that I'm not. You don't have any reasons to think that I am. And so we can, with pretty good, well, for now, we can be pretty confident that that we can tell the difference between chat or with AI talking and humans, but it's getting better all the time, which is scary because at some point it's going to get to the point where you can't tell the difference anymore, and it's going to get to the point where you find yourself interacting with non-people and you won't be able to tell the difference. Although I don't know how far away that is. I have no idea. I think it will come. I fear it and it scares me. But in a way, it gives me an odd hope because that should mean that everyone becomes a skeptic. Think about it. If you can't trust an ad that appears or somebody that says, "Okay, I'm running for president. By the way, I've had sex with a whole bunch of animals just the other day." And you're like, wait a minute, did they really say that? Or was that an AI that said that? Because they deep faked the guy and they deep faked his voice and all this. And it's like, or was it the real guy? Like, was anybody there that saw him in person? And now everyone's going to be hyper skeptical, right? So that would be good, right? No, because people are going to believe that the guy said that. And but oh no, it's not AI. Of course you're saying it's not AI. It's like, no, and then the guy himself comes out and is like, yeah, that wasn't me. That was an AI that said that. But then like the people are like, no, 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 that's the AI. The real him, you know, the real him actually admitted to having sex with animals. So that the AI is the one saying that he wouldn't ever say that, and you know. So I don't know. You're gonna, well, well, I'll tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be like when Chew on Head was a meme for a while. People they weren't convinced that they were talking to live women in chat rooms. And so someone somewhere decided, put a shoe on your head, to type that into chat and see if the person would do it. And then everybody in chat would start demanding that they put a shoe on their head. If the person did it, then okay, then they're live. If they didn't do it, you were talking to you weren't talking to anyone. You were interacting with like somebody that had nothing to do with the video that you were watching. The video was on a loop or something like that. It wasn't live. It wasn't a real person, or it was a real person, but they weren't live, and you were talking to somebody else, probably some dude, pretending to be a chick. Um, I believe even a YouTuber that got pretty popular named themselves Chew on Head after that meme. But yeah, I mean, so there's going to be something like that where we're like, hey, prove that you're human by doing whatever, that robots don't want to do or something. I don't, as far as AI content being on YouTube, I kind of think that maybe they, I don't know, maybe they should put it in its own category so that you can say, yes, I want to see it, or no, I don't want to see it. That way, because I don't like censorship as a rule, but then that way at least you can filter out, AI content. Like, I don't want to see AI content.
Like, I just don't. I don't want to interact with it. There are exceptions, obviously, but um, if I'm looking for proof that God exists, I want to find people making arguments, not robots. It's interesting now and again, like this thing that I did. It's interesting now and again to play with it, but um, if I make a video response, I want to be responding to a human, not to an AI. Anyways, um, plot twist: this is an AI generated video with AI generated voice. Yeah. Well, nerdy, get to work on it. I'm sure that you'll AI create me at some point. I've seen what you can do. Lobsters have mastered AI. Uh, yeah. It does. Yeah, ChatGPT can be a good tool for like fact checking. Well, I don't know how good it is or whatever, but it can help. But there's a danger of you got to be careful because humans are lazy, yourself included. I include myself in that, obviously, even though I'm a lobster. But I'm part lobster. You can't prove that wrong. I'm 1% lobster, 1% Japanese. Can't prove wrong. I should do a DNA test. It'd be funny to see, like, I've got proof now. Anyways, probably just European and German, Dutch and Scottish and boring white stuff. Whatever. So it would be funny. What if it did say 1% lobster? I'd be like, what the? I know it. um, yeah. Anyways, all right. Well, my brain's toast. I blame being sick still. They couldn't deep fake DMs there. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they can't deep fake this. It's too imperfect to fake. Um, and maybe at the So does God exist? No, as a concept, yeah. I that's it. I don't think it's anything more than that. And all the apologetics that there are for God assume what God is and then argue for that assumption. So the Kalam, for example, assumes that God is the cause of the universe. Okay, so if and when scientists go, okay, the cause of the universe is like 42 times 69 divided by 27, and you're like, well, that's stupid, but that's what it is. That's what made the universe. And it's like, that's just a mathematical formula. Like, yeah, but here's what it means, blah, blah, blah. And there's some letters in there, or whatever. I don't know, whatever. And it's like, okay, that's God then, right? No, because the theist is just going to say, no, that God made that thing that we think made the universe, because it's not God. They're not going to accept it unless it's their version of God. So that's interesting. The skeptic might accept that it's like, okay, we could call it God. Doesn't matter. I don't care. It's, but because it caused the universe, we're deciding that we're going to call it God. Why? Well, because a lot of people said that whatever caused the universe is God. Okay. Well, then, if, blue cheese sandwich is what made the universe, then that makes a blue cheese sandwich God. Yeah, by definition. What if nothing made the universe? Then nothing is God. Okay, and so you run into this definitional problem that it's like, yeah, you've defined it as such, but you haven't pointed to it. I want you to point to it. Otherwise, it is just an object of the mind. And if you're going to say, well, love or justice or, yeah, those are objects of the mind. What is this, a spam call? You're interrupting me. Oh, it says potential spam. All right. Hey, I'm doing a live thing right now. Potential spam phone call. What do you have to say for yourself? Hello? Yeah, you hung up. That's what I thought. Don't even give me the satisfaction of saying anything. All right. Anyways, mark as spam. Okay. How dare they call me in the middle of a thing I'm doing? any rate, but even though God's just a concept, it's still interesting. You know, it's still useful and dangerous. Um, why doesn't the theist just say, yeah, it's a concept, but I believe it's more than that? Some do, but not enough to satisfy me. But I guess if nobody was out there claiming that there's proof of God, then I wouldn't, have any content to make. But it's getting hard. It's getting hard to find stuff to do anything on. So hopefully this is a one-off and I find something soon to do something about. If you find something you want me to cover, email it to me. My email is on my about page, which isn't even a page anymore because YouTube changed how all that works. So like you go to the channel, right? Oh God. Oh my goodness. Like you go to this part and you click more and then you see channel details and then you click view email address and then you usually have to click another button, but you'll see it's deconvertedman1@gmail.com. The number 1, deconvertedman1@gmail.com. Because people are like, I don't know what your email is. And I'm like, it's deconvertedman1@gmail.com. Don't lose it. It's not that hard. And YouTube will delete comments if you put your Gmail address in there. I'm like, but you own Gmail. Why are you deleting my comments? Stop deleting my comments. All right. Anyways. All right. So check out Lobster Blog Spot thingy if you want to read my thing that I wrote. And if you have criticisms of it, email them to me. I'll read them and then tell you why you're wrong, or agree with you if you actually managed to point out something that I didn't think of. Or whatever. I want to interact with me. Or maybe you could just post it as a comment. Whatever you feel like doing. All right. Until next time, be skeptical, and then after next time, stay skeptical. All right. Now what? I don't know. Let's look for an anime that's suspicious or something. Maybe there's like an anime that proves God. Anime about God. Yeah, there's got to be some anime about God. Ugly, useless farmer unlock God's powers. No. I want an anime about God. Oh wait, what's this? Oh God, wait. I need to check that out. What's this about? He accidentally reincarnated. Yeah, slime. I know this one, but this one. I mean, this looks like he's just having sex with people. All right. I mean, nothing wrong with that. All right. What else? What else is here? Oh, this guy's God. No, he's got God's power. No, I want them to actually be. God. Oh no, I'm still on. I'm still alive. End the stream. Oh no, people will know that I'm a weeb now. Oh, the humanity. Oh, the humanity. Good thing I didn't open up the incognito browser. Oh, the humanity. No, I'm just messing around. Anyways, thanks anyone. Anyone?